Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So I realized I totally started and I didn't have everything opened up, so it's going to be 2 seconds while I get everything all squared away on my end. But I hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. I was feeling beachy today, so put the beach background on. And if you are down in Miami, know, I'm sure it's all over the news that there is the ordinance about wearing masks. Definitely wear masks. I know they've been very, very strict about it up here in Canada. And as a result, we have had we've had our numbers drop. There was a Instagram post that I saw. It's like where Florida, Texas, and there was another state that have all had major increases, and they have roughly the same, just a little bit more than the population of Canada, and our daily numbers are down to something like 279 for the entire country, and they are seeing cases as of 5,000. So hey Arky, hey Asif, how are you guys doing today? Wow, I'm looking a little bleached out here, so let's go ahead and maybe we'll pull that back just a little bit. I am up in Canada today, still in Canada, wishing I was at the beach. So let's go ahead and get started. I do have a couple things to show you guys. So let me just clean up my other screen here so we can go ahead and get that squared away. I do have a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Let's just change it on over. So if you guys look in the description down below, you'll see Trendspider, amazing software. I do have it opening up right now. So they are an AI trend line company. Basically what they've done is they've tried to go ahead and make it easier for you so that you spend less time analyzing and more time profiting. Really, Asif? And did you get the test, Asif? And what did you do to combat it? I know a lot of people have gone ahead and said, hey, we want take lots of, antioxidants and things to boost your immune system. So yeah, I've known of 3 people that have gotten it and all recovered. It is a 97% recovery rate. However, it does really affect the elderly. So Trendspider is having a huge sale going on this week. The link is down below. Love their software. So if we look at something like, let's look at Boeing, for example. And what is cool is they have the multiple time frame analysis, and you can try it out for free. So test it out, see if you guys like it. You can see we've had this trend line right here that it's pretty much held as resistance. So you can go to it. You can go ahead and when it highlights it, you right click it, you lock this trend line. Okay. And there we go. That trend line is locked, right? And then this one down here looks like it's pretty strong too. So Boeing is one of the ones that's on my list today. Wow. Well, I'm glad that you beat it, Asif. That's good. Maybe your antibodies could help other people survive it too. So I love this software. It's amazing, amazing. And they also have Alpha Trends, Brian Shannon's Anchored VWAP. So check it out, the link's below. And 2 more things. On Monday, tomorrow, I did put it in my Twitter, so let me go to my Twitter handle really quickly. Monday, I am going to be doing a live webinar I will be presenting at 4 o'clock, but it is a all-day event all about swing trading. So check it out. If you're not there, you can get the links to watch it later. And then on Friday, when the market is closed, let's just double check it. Market closures 2020. July 3rd, I believe it's closed all day. Friday, July 3rd, it is a holiday all day. So I am doing a free webinar July 3rd, 9:30 in the morning, because as traders, we love to watch the market, right? So I'm going to be doing an event, webinar all about freedom to leave your 9 to 5. So go to my Twitter, it's AirplaneJane, register right there. Very nice of you to share, Asif, to try to help others. That's great. All right, so don't forget this week, Friday, the market is closed, but at 9:30, come and join me. for my free webinar. And also tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. I will be live as well. So you guys can also see I figured out how to hide the alerts over here so it's not super busy and so much easier to read. It's easier for me too. If you guys do use TradingView, I'll share it with you. So you just go here, extend the alert lines, or you can unclick it. See, when you click it, it puts them on and makes it very busy. And then when you take it off, it's so much easier to read. Okay, so let's look at the SPY, right? So the SPY overall, we're starting to have this downward trend. I drew this blue trend line on the weekly chart, and we are pretty much respecting it and holding below it. We did break below that 200 simple moving average again. Next potential test to the downside is 298. Also our 50 simple moving average right here and our 161 EMA right here. So lots of roadblocks right here for the potential move to the downside. However, look, we had these two blocks of consolidation. Back here, we had 3 weeks, right? They took it up. Now we had another week, they brought it down, bounced it up, another week, and they're bringing it down. If we break below the low of this week right here of 295.39, next test is the top of this box, right? So 294 area. If we break the 294, watch out, we're going to probably go down and test 278 for this week. Excuse me, not this week, but potentially in the future. Again, I was talking to Mish Snyder from Market Minute, and we were talking about the economy as a whole. So the economy is not the same as the market. The economy can do its own thing, and the market can do its own thing. So everybody's saying this is crazy, the market is popping, you know, it's had this crazy rebound, but it's not the economy. So yes, it was propped up. There was a large amount of short squeezes. You guys heard me talk about that a lot. Also, if you guys are new to following my channel, please go ahead, like the videos and subscribe. Just 12 people away from 5,000. Would love to break that today. So share with your friends that want to learn about trading. We'd love to help everybody. And so when we were talking about the market, we're like, okay, the market's over here and you have the economy that's doing its own thing. While the Fed is trying to do everything possible to keep the market up, however, the economy can still drop, right? So what have they done? They've gone ahead and they've cut interest rates, right? To try to put more money back in the hands of the US population. They're buying federally backed securities to term, as Powell said. Then the latest thing this week, on Thursday, they released the bank stress test. So they were saying, hey, our banks are not looking as healthy as we anticipated. So you guys are not going to be able to give out the dividends as well as the buybacks. So that's not necessarily a good thing for the economy. And we will see where we go. Yeah, Fausto, we will check it out. I mean, we could definitely have a bounce right here. It could go like this week, right? We could see it open down here. It could go back up, bounce up here, 304, then come back down. It could bounce down to this 292, could come back up, test the 298 again, and then it could come back down here and go down even maybe 285 down here to this trend line. Because it's never, as you can see, down, up, down, up, down. It's not always straight down or straight up. So keep that in mind, especially if you're swinging things. And let me go ahead and pull over my watch list. We'll go ahead and put it on for Sunday. We'll clean it up. I did adjust everything here a little bit. And we'll talk a bit more about the Qs, Apple, Microsoft, all that good stuff. All right, so my list, you guys know I do my list. I also post it on Instagram if you miss it here, and you guys can check it out. So here is the list right here, and I'm gonna move it just to the other screen. You guys will see it live right here, and I'll build that. NG, SNX, AirG, MRCY, RDI, Apple, Boeing, Fox, H&R Block, and CarMax. And the last one, potential swing list. If you guys have stocks that you want me to look at, go ahead and let me know, and I will add them to the list, and we will talk about it at the bottom. All right, so let's look at Nasdaq. So Nasdaq has been leading this entire downturn, set an all-time new high up here. This candlestick is fairly bearish. We had a doji and we had a bearish day after that. So that can be a trend reversal. We could be coming down this week to test the resistance, flip to be support of 237.50 area. Then below that, potentially down to 233.80. And then potentially down here, 230.75. All right, so let's look at IWM as well, the Russell. So the Russell, we have this downward trend right here. Look, pretty much it's holding this downward trend over the past 3 weeks, much like the SPY as well. And yes, you know, what's going to happen if everything is devalued? Actually, I'm just now reading this book. I put the link down below too. Pitbull, the Lessons from a Wall Street Champion. I'm going to be doing a video about it coming up. But in this book, it's pretty cool to see what happened back in the 1920s, how when the dollar was devalued, and even in the 80s, that when the dollar really became devalued, a lot of people turned to metals and to gold in particular. So ego, it's on the gold list. We'll also talk about seasonality. So wait for it at the end because you guys are definitely going to want to see that. Larry Langford, what is the ticker? And we can check it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it for potential longs. Now remember, I did have my Series 7 20 years ago. It is no longer current, so please go ahead and do your own due diligence. There are varying degrees of risk in trading all securities instruments. No past performance is indicative of future performance. Okay, so right here, let's go ahead. Now, Nova Gold. This is a Canadian company in the gold sector, obviously, and would be looking for this to have a potential breakout. Had a nice update. The abnormally high volume is what really caught my eye. When we look at it on the daily chart here, we've started to see descending volume, high volume right here. This was our highest day. So we might come back. We are at the 200 simple moving average right now, higher than normal volume. Potential buying there. If we go ahead and we break above, we could easily see test up here 930 and then on up to 10. We could test that 50 simple moving average at 1025, which looks like where we had that big sell-off when it broke below right there. So watch 855 for support and 870. We'll do 875 for resistance. It does have 238 million in the float. Next one is SNX. Look again, crazy volume. So this is the electronic sector. Let's draw a little trend line right here too. And you can see it held that trend line. Oops, excuse me, right there. Held the trend line. Then finally it broke out here. Earnings, good. The market liked the earnings. No idea what the reporting was, but it liked the earnings and it has bounced up there. We're testing resistance right here. Do you guys see the nice pattern? The cup and handle, right? So this could have that move to the upside. We could go ahead and fill the gap, right? From here on up, right here, 122.06. And then on up, there's another gap here to 124.80. After that, we might be testing the 130 range. So let's get in a little closer to it. Not bad, drawing it from my eyes right there, right? So I would look 118.50 for, whoops, get rid of that. 118.50 for resistance, and I'm going to tighten this a little bit. You can see right here, this was resistance, now it's support. Would like to see that hold at 114.40. So 114.40 and 118.50. Right there, right? So let's pull it back out for Synex Corp. Electronic distributors. Electronics have been doing really well. Everybody's on them, right? Everybody is working from home. AirG. Now this one does have 9.19 million in the float. You can see it does look like it was a runner in the past. Again, abnormally high volume. It's in the electronic technology sector. That sector has been fairly strong in everything that has happened. And again, a bit of a cup and handle, right? Right here, we have a resistance point, tested it, it couldn't hold above, sold off that next day. And we've broken somewhat this handle with higher than normal volume. So interesting to keep on watch. Let me get out of the drawing tool. All right. Up here at $11. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at $10.50 for our support. Right there. Right? So you can see that's also right here at that EMA, that exponential moving average right here. So we could break out above, next potential test above that 1140, 1150 area, then on up to 12 if we do break that. Above that up to 1250. Looks like the 50-cent increments. But it does have lower than normal volume. So let's keep that in mind because it can, excuse me, not lower than normal volume, low float. So it can have crazy movements like this because it's less than 10 million in the float for the stock. If you guys are curious about what the float is, I do have a video on that in my library. Just search for it. All right, Mercy, another electronics equipment. Okay, let's put Cisco on there. Mercury Systems. Again, look at how it's respected this EMA right here, right? It bounced off of it right here. It bounced, came down, bounced, higher than normal volume. Is it because they're looking to sell it off, or is it because they're looking to take it higher, right? We don't know for sure. It did hit another exponential moving average. It has all these roadblocks right here, but our faster ones are starting to curl up and intersect with the slower moving averages. So it could be a potential move to the upside or downside. That's why I have them as potential longs or shorts, because the market will determine the direction. See, here it came and hit that, and there was big volume. It could have just been rebalancing at the end of the week. We don't know, but it's something we want to watch. And look, it couldn't hold above this area. So actually, I'm going to move it up over here. That was the 200 simple prior right here 3 days ago. So putting that as our resistance point, right, it's 78.60. And our support, we're going to put right here. That's going to be our support we need to see hold, 75.80. All right. So we will see. But this one, with that higher than normal volume, look at what happened the last time we had that, right? It was right about this, just a little bit lower price range on that day. And it seemed to go fairly sideways and then boom, exploded up. Then of course we had the volatility to the downside with the whole market and then continued right on back up. So are they exiting that position from back here? Don't know, but this volume spike is very interesting to watch. It does have 54 million in the float. All right, last potential long is RDI. Now this one does have 15.6 million in the float. Again, this volume candlestick is what really stood out for me, right? And when we look at it on the big picture, it's really just sort of been between here and here for the past couple months, right? So where are we going to go from here? We had massive volume after earnings, a little bit of a reversal on the candlesticks, right? Right here, our hammer. So we'll go ahead and we'll tighten this up a little bit more. I would like to see that hold, and we'll bring this closer and I will change the colors and we'll look at it in our 15-minute chart. Right? So we want to see it, let's go ahead and put it up here. We want to see it break out above 4, right? Needs to break at least 4. And that support, let's go ahead and bring it right here. 373 and $4. All right, so when we look back at it again, let's draw a little trend line here. you know, it had that sort of just pummel right with the rest of the market. But we could come back up and test that. I wouldn't be surprised to see it test the 200 simple moving average if we could get rid of the roadblocks at 455, 586, and 666 right there. All right. Now, potential shorts. You might be saying, Jane, you were screaming Apple so long. Apple and Microsoft have started to pull back. We were in this channel right here, and the moving averages are starting to curl over. Same thing happened back here. And we went ahead and we tested this trend line, right? So we might have a pullback to 349.40 area, 349.50. It might bounce right there and then continue to the upside. When we look at Apple and Microsoft, they are still close to the moving averages. So the risk of shorting those is not as much, right? Whereas with the SPY, when we look at the SPY, where are we with the moving averages? Well, we are really far extended away, right? But when we looked at Microsoft and Apple, it's not that far away. So the risk is not as high. You can see we have 355 and we're $1 and 355.70, so $2 away, really. But for the grand scheme of things, it was a $11 day. And we respected this downward trend and it dropped back. So maybe it'll come back up and test up here, 356 area, and then we could come back down to the downside there. But let's go into it on a 15-minute chart and go ahead and draw it out. All right. So right here, every time the buyers came in, they brought it up, right? And then finally it flipped. Right here it flipped, and then the sellers took it down from that point. So 357 on the upper edge for our resistance. I'm going to pull it back a little bit. And I'm going to put 352.40, which was resistance in the past. I would like to see that hold up as support. It held fairly strong right here at the 350, 350 mark. I don't know if we had any crazy prints. Hold on one second. You guys get to see sneaky prints. Maybe there were some sneaky prints. Maybe there weren't. So we'll wait for that to load. So 352.40 and 357.03. Pull this up here. I'll see if there's any sneaky prints that came in. Well, we had bigger than normal closing with 6 million and 785,000 at, I'll bring it down so you guys can see. Or here I can just do this. Maybe I can expand, pop out window. That's what I want. Here we go. So you guys can see these were the trades, right? So if we look at the biggest one, we had 785,000 at 353.60. So 353.60, it's pretty much close, right? That was just after close. Let's go ahead and do it based on the time. There we go. So nothing crazy, but a lot after hours right there. A lot at the closing point. Let's go ahead and close that. All right, so that's why it pretty much flatlined right there. So maybe those are people going long again. Not sure. But that's why we need to go ahead and be nimble either way. Okay, going to Boeing. Boeing, you can see when I hide those trend lines, it's just on the downward move, right? Again, it was on my list on Friday as a potential short. Definitely held up to that. You can see it bounced off of the support area twice. So would like to go ahead and see that hold. And we can tighten it back down here for a resistance of 171.60 to the upper bound and our support of 168.90, right? Then we've got a big drop down here to 156, also that 50 simple moving average at 155.40. So it could be a nice short this week. Might have a nice $15 move to the downside. Sometimes those moves happen in one day, sometimes they happen in 2 weeks. So be mindful of that if you are trading options. 168.8 and 171.6. All right, let's go to VOX. So VOX, crazy volume. We have a bit of a resistance point right here, right? We have an ascending triangle. Like Fastly, this could end up being a crazy breakout, right? It could be a crazy breakout if we break above that $6 mark here, 608 or 605 really. If we break out above that, it could go crazy up, but we're also testing this trend line and it might come back down, test that 516 and then down here 465. You can see how that was really a resistance in the past. Now this one has 15.3 million in the float, so shorting it might be difficult. And it could have a short squeeze to it if a lot of people see that pattern. They see that it could potentially pull back. So keep it on watch for either direction. But testing that downward trend line, it has had buyers take it up every time. So not sure which way we're going to go on it. We could even draw a secondary trend line down here, right there. So maybe it's going to come down and test 550 and then catapult up. But it's really been respecting this fairly well right here. All right. So VOX, I've confused myself because I didn't put a horizontal one down here. And we'll make this one green. All right, so 550 and 610. All right, next potential short, H&R Block, just in a downward trend right here, not looking pretty either. Came up, hit this moving average, and then pulled back, right? Well, we could see, oh, no worries. Welcome, welcome. All right. So H&R Block right here. I would like to see that it would hold that resistance of 1380 and support down here of 1340. Let's pull it down here. When we look back at it on that yearly again, came down, bounced, had a double bottom, then it found a new low right here, which that low was 1320, and then it shot up like the rest of the market. Highest volume after that point was right here. We are below that at this time. Had higher volume here on these days. Then once it broke below the 50 simple moving average again, it pulled back. And so we could see a test back down this week, potentially of 1188. We'll see. But it had the dividend and it's curling down. Of course, many things pulled back with the market on Friday. Overall, the market did pull back, and that can influence many, many stocks. All right, then we have CarMax. So CarMax was doing really, really well. Here's the thing. With CarMax, we've hit a double top right here, which was resistance in the past, right? You see how the line is over there, it's showing resistance on the left. Well, we weren't able to break above that. Now we're coming down to this 200 simple moving average. Is it going to bounce, or is this going to be an M? Are we going to have an M scenario where we're just going to go down like this? Or is it going to end up being a triple bottom and it's going to go up, where we're going to set up like a W right here, right? So not sure which way we're going to go on it. But that's why we put it on a watch list, right? It's got higher than normal volume, and it's in a crucial point where it could bounce off of that 200 simple moving average, or it could go ahead and break down from there. So keeping it on watch is a good thing with higher than normal volume. And we'll put it down at 86. We'll keep the whole number there. Whoops. All right. So 86 for support and 88.2 for resistance. Now, I had a hard time finding potential swings because the whole market overall is pulling back, and I didn't see a lot of stuff starting to curl up. A lot of it has gone and curled down as well. Ego. Ego is one that I watched last June go from down here at 4 all the way up to 9 990, right? So when I look at it again, we've got a nice little wedge right here, right? Triangle, wedge. And if we go back to the mathematics, if we go from here to here, $6.13. Tom, I do not. I do follow them, but I do not. So $6.13 roughly. Let's go ahead and measure that out. We broke out right here. $6.13. I'm going to go ahead and give it a potential target of $15. You saw it took from the breakout really of June 18th last year, which is pretty much where it broke out this year, to September. So June to September, anticipation of $15 potentially in September. Now, also when we look at equity clock, you guys got to check out equity clock as well. Oh, Frank, no, you know what? I didn't short spot. I was just looking at it, but I did not short it. So when we look at the commodities, right? Equity clock is great because it will give you the commodities, and you can check it out and you can look at it and say, all right, well, what happened over the past 20 years for gold, right? And where did we go? Well, June, end of June to September, yeah, it pretty much rocked. So anticipating that move from 9 to 15 could really potentially happen, especially if the US dollar starts to become devalued and people go to a commodity such as gold or silver or another metal, even copper. If they start going to those commodities for a consistent value because they're not going to be deflated as much, then you could see that gold is really going to surge as well. And James, are you talking about my charting? This one is equity clock right here, and this is trading view right here that I use for my charting. All right, so you guys wanted to check out James, I don't know that it's James Taylor, but Jay Taylor. I did not look at Fastly yet. I will add it on, and I will add spot on there too. Okay, so DKNG, so DraftKings. Yeah, this one's not looking so healthy, but we do have all these red candles basically. I use black and white just to make it easier on my eyes to see in the background where it is in relation to the moving averages, right? So this is so far away at the moment. If the market pulls down and we gap down on Monday with the futures, right? We'll find out at 6 o'clock tonight where we open up on futures, but that doesn't really mean anything for the market Monday except for just potentially where we could go. This could bounce up to this trend line and then go back down further for DraftKings. But it's looking definitely bearish. I do see that M pattern right here, right? And it broke below that midline right here. So it looks bearish to me overall, but it might have a bounce in Monday. The whole market might have a little bit of bounce up and then continue down further. All right, let's look at Cisco. So Cisco higher than normal volume, and we've also we have this trend right here, broke a trend line, right? So this could be breaking out to the upside potentially. The technology sector has been doing fairly well. So keeping all that in mind, we are also hitting the 20 simple moving average. M pattern can be a bearish pattern in ASIF. So keeping that in mind, this could, if we look at it, break it down further on a 15-minute chart. If you wanted to look at it that way, we could look at it that way. I would like to see support hold of that 45.60 level and resistance above 46.50, right? We'll get rid of these right here. And you can see it really traded sideways for a while. Let's go back and see what happened as well, June to July of last year. So June, end of June, beginning of July, we're looking right here. It had a bit of a breakout as well. Came up and it hit all-time highs right there. So are we going to see that same pattern where it's going to come up and hit $48? It could, potentially. Oh, you're very welcome, Larry. Hopefully it's profit that you can go ahead and take on it instead of getting in right at the top. All right, so Fastly, let's check out Fastly. So Fastly has been in this upward trend, right? Many times we see 3 white soldiers and then you'll see a pullback day, right? So here it had a big up day, pullback. So was this day going to be a reversal? It bounced, their buyers stepped in, and we might see that this is going to come back, test this trend line. It might even come all the way back to 73. You can see that acted as support back here, 73.80 area, acted as support for this candlestick. So maybe it will come back and maybe we'll have a pullback to this area before it continues up further. You can see it happens where it'll have 2 days down and then it surges up and then down and then up and down and then up all the way up. So we might have 2 days down to that 73.50 area. You can barely see my candlesticks. No, it's black and white. I have hollow ones, only Patage Gemet. All right, and let's look at spot. Right? I'll go into it on a 15-minute chart as well for you if you want to see that. So right here, for potential breakout above 87.62, and would look for that support of right here, 85.25 area. Actually move it back down, 85.20, 85 even. Bring it down to 85. All right, and for spot, let's check out Spotify. So Spotify had a nice run on Thursday and Friday. So it hit, looks like pretty strong resistance right here. They opened it, ended it strong, ended it strong on Friday above and then brought it right back down below. So would look for that to hold as resistance. And then you can see it's really just, it's using this area as support, which was resistance, right? It flipped to be support. And we've got this trend line right here that it's riding right on up. So we could have that ascending wedge breakout of 268.50 and then a secondary test up here of that 271, right? So it could be a little scalp trade from here to here. If it breaks out above here, they could do a fake out too. You know, sometimes you'll see that they'll say, oh yeah, we're going to take it up and then we're going to bring it right back down and then we'll bring it back up again. So be prepared. All right. You guys have any other stocks that you would like to see me check out? Ready to go and enjoy some sunshine today? It's a beautiful day up here. Wish I could just go dive into the water, in the ocean. Not yet. Not just yet. We're restricted at the moment. But if you guys don't have any other questions, again, please put your comments down below. If there's anything else you'd like to see in my videos, I will be doing a book review as well of this book. So far, I'm loving it, and the link is down below. And a reminder that on Monday, tomorrow afternoon, there's a free all-day swing trading webinar event. And on Friday at 9:30 in the morning, July 3rd, I will be doing my own live webinar as well. And I'll put the link in down below. I didn't put that in yet, but I'll put it in right now. NKLA and WRC. Okay, NKLA. Let's look at it. So it came down, tested this trend line that we drew before, and then it bounced up. It looks like it's in a bearish trend. It's hovering below all of the slower moving averages. Oh, nice, Rom. So we've got our resistance right there around 69.50, and I would look for the support down here at the 64 area for NKLA and WRTC. So Wrap Technologies, you can see every time that it bounces off of this trend line, it's holding. So I would look for that to be support at 9. Right there, down a little bit. I'd like to pull it down to 9 right there. And for resistance, it's had a pretty strong resistance with the moving averages right up here at that 950 area. So 9 to 950 for WRTC, right? And it's got this, I see this right here too. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Right, so it's got a bit of a bull flag. If it were to go ahead and have massive volume, you could see a big run up like back here, where it had that same, somewhat a bit of the same trend. All right. Have a great weekend. Carpe Profit sees us profits one trade at a time. See you live tomorrow at 1 o'clock for Ticker Talker TV or at 4 p.m. Bye.